Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. I've got some information here. Oh my goodness, so much information. I want to thank our source in Illinois for the Pankava update in the documents, and I will put a link down below in the description for these new ones. Also the ones from earlier this month. Alright, and I'm just going to read her statement here. Here's an update on the Michael Pankava and Colin Scott case relative to these elders obeying the marching orders they were given by the Watchtower organization to not report to the local authorities a CSA case that started when a little girl was only 6 years old and continued and worsened for approximately another 13 years. In large part because the elders do not have the guts to do the right thing by reporting the matter to the local authorities, but instead, in simple terms, covered up the crime. Let's call it what it really is. Not just a sin, as the Watchtower organization and its publications would have us believe, as so many of the Jehovah's Witness criminal acts are covered up by the organization and the puppets, elders, who run the show. As I said before, how were these elders able to look this little girl in the face at meetings? How were they able to even look themselves in the mirror? That tells you what kind of people they apparently really are and how much of a conscience they apparently have. I'll ask the question and again, how much is a little girl's life worth? So here it goes. As shown in the redacted transcript of the January 28, 2022 hearing, the judge mentioned he had previously received some documents from an unknown source and would go through them when all the parties were present at a later date. The court went into recess with all of the parties and adjourned to a conference room to review and discuss the materials the judge had received. The result of this meeting of the parties was that the judge decided it was all material that was not part of this case and would not be admitted as evidence, and that he would be destroying this material. All parties agreed to that action. The state withdrew one of its motion in limine. There were so many motions filed in this case that the judge and the attorney spent time trying to sort them out. While defendant Colin Scott's attorney argued that the court should deny the state's motion to admit the victim's mother's testimony and the father's confession as evidence in the Pankava-Scott cases, defendant Pankava's attorney also stated that he too wanted the state's motion stricken, saying that he thought that this is an attempt by the prosecution to smoke out Mr. Pankava and force us to put Mr. Pankava on the stand. The state spoke up requesting that the defendant's attorney motion to strike be denied and identified specific types of evidence they wanted admitted at trial, to which both defendants' attorneys have continued to object, such as statements by the mother of the victim to the elders with regard to what information the victim shared with her mother relative to the CSA by the father. The written statements of the elders, one of which was before a Crystal Lake police officer. The other statement was apparently the watered-down statement of the crime provided to the Watchtower organization by defendant Pankava. Oh, they wouldn't lie! Stating that the state's foundation pieces of evidence in this case are essentially going to be the mother's testimony with respect to what her daughter had told her, as well as the father's admission of the crime. And I just want to remind everybody, the father is already in prison for like 50 years for this crime. The oral statements of the mother, the oral confession of the father, and the written statements of the elders would ultimately be admissible as evidence at the Pankava-Scott trial. As respected, defendant Colin Scott's attorney objected to the state's request, saying the state was attempting to get the court to rule as to the admissibility of an unknown amount of evidence at trial. The court took this matter under advisement and said it would give a ruling on the next court date. Unfortunately, the state had a witness in court that day who had come in from southern Illinois to testify at this hearing and was prepared to testify that day, and the state's attorney didn't want to inconvenience a witness by making that person come up to McHenry County again for another court hearing, and asked the judge if the witness could go ahead and testify that day since all of the parties were present, but the court denied the state's request. The judge set the case for a further hearing on February 17, 2022. On February 7th and February 8th, 2022, the state filed 2 subpoenas for witnesses whose names were redacted to appear at the trial. On February 14th, 2022, the state filed a subpoena for the director of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services to appear at trial on March 2nd and March 4th, which is coming up this next week. On February 15, 2022, the state filed another subpoena for the manager of the northern region of the Department of Children and Family Services to appear at trial as well. At the hearing on February 17, 2022, a court order was entered which denied the defendant's motion to strike the state's motion to admit the mother and father's statements and set the matter for a further hearing on February 24, 2022, 3 days ago. By this order, the court also added an additional trial date of March 11, 2022. Good grief. I feel sorry for the Illinois taxpayers because they have to pay for all of this. Oh my goodness. At the latest hearing on February 24, 2022, a court order was entered which stated that relative to the state's motion in limine, the court took it under advisement and set a ruling on it at the initial trial date of March 2nd, 2022. Now we will wait to see what happens at the trial on March 2nd, 4th, and 11th. And like I said, I will have those documents on our website with a link down below. And thank you so much, sweetie. We appreciate all the hard work of you writing all of this out and getting us these documents. It's very much appreciated on these court cases. Now, I want to thank JW Survivors Original very much for sending me the documents to this. And, you know, we were all scratching our head looking at this because this is the summary of the Boy Scout of all the abuse claims that are being filed. And, you know, I'm sure most of you are thinking, well, what has this got to do with Watchtower? Well, it's interesting because when you go to this PDF document, and that will be on our website also, and you type in Jehovah in this PDF document, 6 items come up. Now there was one I was able to, you know, discredit because it says Jehovah's House. But under Exhibit 4, Evaluation of Survivor Claims by Chartering/Sponsoring Organization. And like I said, we're like, what has this got to do with Watchtower and the Boy Scouts? You guys will find this interesting. Now, I'm just going to present what I find here. I don't have the answers. You know, you'll have to come to your own conclusion and, you know, read through this and, you know, make up your own mind. But like I said, when you type in Jehovah, you know, I can discount the first one because it's Jehovah Church. And page 29 of the PDF document, the very last one at the bottom, Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, 2 abuse claims. And then when you go to the next one on page 194, like I said, we can discount the Jehovah Church because I don't think that, I don't know, but I don't think that's Jehovah's Witnesses. But right below that, and it's about a middle of the page, of page 194, Jehovah Witness, 1 abuse claim, Jehovah's Witnesses, 1 abuse claim. And then you click on it, and then it takes you to page 210, Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses, 1 abuse claim. So, you know, if I added these up correctly, it's 5 mentions of Jehovah's Witnesses with 7 abuse claimants. And like I said, your guess is as good as mine. You know, I had no idea what the connection would be. Now, I want to thank Atlantis. My goodness, he is amazing. Because I sent this to him last night and said, you know, what do you make of this? Because I was scratching my head over this one. And he came through. Thank you so much, sweetie. My goodness, this is amazing. Oh. This is called the Warwick Advertiser. And I'm going to put the link down below to this. And when you go down, oh, it looks like about halfway through, and it's talking about, you know, how Watchtower was helping the town of Warwick, and Warwick, you know, is so happy they helped them and all of this. But you come down to the paragraph where it says the witnesses have also helped with certain public facilities in town. When Warwick needed some material to build one of last sports fields out at Union Corners Park, Sweeten said, he contacted the Watchtower Society. The group responded by providing all of the material the town needed, as well as hydro-seeding the soil, which allowed the grass to come in very nicely, much more quickly than had the town done the work, all at no cost to taxpayers. Devine said that the group also has built a press box at the Little League field near the headquarters. Isn't that nice of them? I'm sure they're using, you know, donated labor and money, the Jehovah's Witnesses. But I'm getting to the point. There are also basketball courts and picnic pavilions being built on the property because part of the group's agreement with the town was to have on-site recreation, helping to avoid overloading the town's parks with additional residents. And we know that. You know, even in the plans for Warwick headquarters, there was basketball courts, swimming pools, you know, tennis courts, all of that. And we've seen them, you know, in the background of videos. Currently, the Watchtower Society is working with a Greenwood Lake Boy Scout troop to refurbish the east shore of Greenwood Lake, offering assistance in terms of material and volunteer trade help. So right here in this article, they admit that Watchtower is currently working with a Greenwood Lake Boy Scout troop. Now, correct me if I am wrong, but haven't we been told our entire lives that Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts are a bad thing? You know, not to even buy their demonized cookies from the Girl Scouts? You know, if I remember correctly, Watchtower even called them paramilitary, you know, groups. So, you know, when you think about this, and it's like, well, why would Watchtower have anything to do with the Boy Scout troops? And then, you know, like J.W. Survivor's Original asked, you know, did they work with the Boy Scout troops and some of the kids got abused? And that's what this claim is all about in the Boy Scout, you know, claims documents. Like I said, too many questions, but we have to ask, you know. So, anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for your phone calls and emails and, you know, comments and cards. So many cards. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your love and support. And it's been interesting because we disabled the comments under a video. We're getting a lot of emails and able to have one-on-one conversations with many of you who couldn't say things publicly. So thank you. Thank you. So anyway, thank you for watching, and you all have a wonderful week. Bye.